At this point, nothing about new information tying Donald Trump to his literal decade-long best friend, Jeffrey Epstein, should surprise anyone. There should be no shock when new photos surface, when videos emerge, or when emails are leaked. None of this should be bewildering anymore, yet somehow it still is. The sheer volume of information is overwhelming. And that's exactly what we're seeing this morning with a fresh leak of emails between Epstein and Trump, once again exposing the disgusting, disturbing, and criminal nature of their relationship. This time, the connection is directly tied to Jeffrey Epstein and children, which makes it all the more vile. It's beyond grotesque, but we are going to break it all down. Before we do, though, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy the work we do here, please hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting this channel. Now, before we dive into this newest batch of leaked emails, I want to start with an update from the person who has been instrumental in bringing this information to light, Robert Garcia, the ranking member of the Oversight Committee, and what he told Chris Hayes last night about what additional revelations are still on the way.
I think first, what's really important here is that every single document, photo, video that we have is because we have fought for them on the Oversight Committee as Democrats. And Republicans, every single step of the way, have tried to block the release. They try to stop our vote on the subpoena. Donald Trump brought in members of Congress to the Situation Room, tried to stop the vote from happening on the floor. And so Republicans, Mike Johnson, James Comer, at every single turn have dragged their feet and participated in this White House cover-up. Of what we currently have, we have one batch of documents from the DOJ. All of those documents were essentially already public records. So that was already given to the public. So there's nothing new there. Of the other documents that we have, much of what we have either is already in the public record, Democrats have already put out as a committee, and we still have not put out yet fully are the bank records. And I'll tell you why. We're working right now with our partners on the Senate Finance Committee, in both the Senate and the Financial Services Committee in the U.S. House. And we are carefully going through a complex system of documents, ledgers, bank statements that connect money laundering, we believe, possibly, and also information about who was paying who and where Jeffrey Epstein was receiving all of his resources from. And I'll note this one other thing, which is important. The Republicans only decided to subpoena two of the banks, Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan. We've asked for over 20 banks to be subpoenaed. So we need Republicans to join us and subpoena the 20 other banks where we want to get information from. All of that is going to be critically important in the weeks and months ahead. But I'll tell you, Chris, we're making really, really good progress.
So if there are images here, I mean, one thing that's striking to me is something that Andrew Weissman said earlier in the program. And this pertains to, say, the birthday book, right, which in some ways I think kicked off a lot of this. The Wall Street Journal is reporting about that. Am I right that nothing from the estate has ever come into the custody of law enforcement? That everything being turned over by the estate, including the photos you got, like this is the first time U.S. government representatives or anyone has gotten this information? Is that true?
We're actually not sure what representatives of the government or the DOJ may have that the estate also has. There's certainly a lot the estate has that, according to some of the DOJ, they do not have. Look, the birthday book, Donald Trump spent weeks saying it didn't exist, as we remember. Right. There have been comments from members of the DOJ and members of the administration that they weren't aware, obviously, of some of what the estate has. And so that is likely true, that there are documents and photos that we're releasing to the public, including possibly ones that we released today, that are not in the possession of the DOJ. But I also want to be very clear that what we've released and what we have is a tiny amount of production compared to what the DOJ has. From what we understand from talking to folks at the FBI as well as the DOJ, there's an enormous amount of documents, of records, of photos, of videos, and other materials in the possession of the Department of Justice.
There is nothing that Donald Trump can do to stop Robert Garcia, and that is why every single little bit of information we get from the Epstein estate, to me, is so important. Because sure, Pam Bandy can stand in the way and put obstacles in front of the December 19th deadline to release everything that's in the Epstein files that is under the purview of the DOJ. But there is nothing she can do to stop Robert Garcia from getting more evidence from the Epstein estate and finding new co-conspirators, finding new associates of Epstein, getting them on the record, making them testify, share material. Subpoenas are going out the door every single day. But on top of that, Donald Trump's unwillingness to cooperate, his calling this a hoax last night, saying that the pictures of him and Epstein were no big deal, and everyone was taking photos with Epstein and young women. Sure, definitely believe that, Donald. It just leads reporters, as they should have this entire time, to investigate further. And that is how we are getting these new emails with Donald Trump and his literal favorite self-avowed pedito. Trump team email to Epstein, pedophiles. I want you to know how important you are to me. An email account belonging to Jeffrey Epstein regularly received alerts from Donald Trump's 2020 campaign, and after Epstein's death was addressed under a shocking new name, newly released records show. I need you right now. Pados read an October 27, 2020 email from Trump's campaign team signed by Trump and sent to Epstein. The new batch of emails were obtained by Distributed Denial of Secrets, DDO Secrets, a nonprofit whistleblower group that shared them selectively with news outlets including Raw Story. They differ from the document dump of 20,000 pages of files from Epstein's estate released by the House Oversight Committee last month. Pedos, I want you to know how important you are to me, reads another email from Trump's campaign. Epstein dated October 1st, 2020, and signed off on by Trump. I'm turning to my strongest supporters like Pedos, which is true, reads another dated October 25th, 2020. Epstein was reportedly obsessed with Trump for years, with the same batch of emails revealing that, hey, he had purchased basically every major expose about the president. Trump was the single most mentioned individual in the batch of emails released by the House Oversight Committee, and Epstein apparently would coordinate his flights around Trump's Raw Story previously reported. Epstein once called Trump his closest friend for 10 years, with the House Oversight Committee's release revealing that Trump might have spent hours with one of Epstein's victims at his home, and may have spent Thanksgiving with Epstein during his first term in office. Trump has also flown on Epstein's private plane at least 7 times in the 1990s. Pedos, I am so proud to be your president, reads another email from Trump's campaign to Epstein dated September 14th and signed by Donald Trump. The fact that Jeffrey Epstein openly used an email name like Pedos tells you exactly who he was. And yet Donald Trump and people in his circle continued to associate with him. This wasn't some secretive figure. Epstein was blatant about his identity. So Trump's excuse that Palm Beach is full of people and that he barely knew Epstein completely falls apart when you look at the overwhelming evidence, including what Epstein himself openly said and did. The only reason Trump allegedly distanced himself from Epstein wasn't because of the abuse of girls, but because of a business dispute involving Mar-a-Lago. That alone shows Trump never cared about the victims. And with the House Oversight Committee releasing new photos where women's faces are redacted, it becomes even harder to believe Trump wasn't involved. Those redactions exist for a reason. And they directly contradict Ghislaine Maxwell's claims that there were no victims or that Trump was never around them. As more evidence comes out, it's clear this cover-up goes far beyond just one administration. We've discussed Steve Bannon's suspicious relationship with Epstein near the time of his death, and it fits the same pattern of manipulation and corruption that defines Trump world. And when it comes to Epstein's death, the missing prison video and Pam Bandy role in blocking full transparency should be raising massive red flags. We've seen emails and photos, but where is the video? Epstein was known for recording people, and that footage is being kept from the public. That's exactly why this story isn't going away, and it's exactly what Adam Schiff addressed right here.
I have more confidence generally in the offices of Inspector General than I do in the top leadership of the Justice Department. There have been reports that the FBI devoted 1,000 agents to combing through these files, flagging wherever Trump's name appeared. And there's good reason to be suspicious of whether any documents that might be incriminating the president will see the public light. So one way of trying to make sure that the disclosures are fulsome, as required by the law that was passed on a bipartisan basis, is to get the Inspector General to review the custody of these documents to determine whether any are missing. And the administration is supposed to give us a log of anything they're withholding to determine whether that log is complete or whether the thing's missing from there too.
Of course, Pam Bandy is doing everything she can to block the release of this information. And of course, we're going to keep calling it out right here on this show. If you want to support that work, as always, hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.